This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Late Night Gaming.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. You want to tell everybody about your channel real quick?
You probably know what my channel is. I have a really hard time explaining it, so maybe you have a better idea than I do. I just like Halo, and I upload weird things. There usually isn't any rhyme or reason to the things I upload. I made an entire video dedicated to the Marines and how much I love them.
If you want to see the more both popular and obscure Halo topics as told by Late Night Gaming, go check out his channel. Very entertaining.
That the videos do well. Like this is a video about theater mode. Why are you all watching this?
Hey, theater mode's pretty cool. I
don't ask me questions, man.
I haven't seen very many. Haven't seen very many games that have implemented theater mode as well as Halo has.
Yeah, theater mode was kind of that weird thing. It was in Halo 3, and it was really, really cool.
I know.
And then Call of Duty wanted to get in on that, and then it's kind of sad now that Halo, with each new installment, it's been dropping support for features in its theater mode, while Call of Duty only keeps adding features to their theater mode.
Absolutely. Yeah. Call of Duty, it's like, whoa. It's gotten a long ways better. A long ways improved from what they started with. Let's put it that way.
Speak more better there.
I can't. It's not going to happen, okay? All right, so here's the thing. We've been doing these interviews, and today we're having an interview with Late Night Gaming. For what day of the week is it, Will?
It's Wow Car Wednesday.
Which we remembered to say for the first time in like 5 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, late night's like, oh, we're getting off now.
No. This video will be released on a Wednesday.
Okay. I had that mistake yesterday where I didn't know what day it was, so I'm like, oh no, it's happening again.
Oh man.
I was like, I can't believe this. I lost track of the day again.
Oh jeez. All right. Well, with that being said, before we forget what day it is, Will, why don't you ask him the first question on our list?
All right. The first question. What inspired you to make a channel all about the Halo series and occasionally not about the Halo series?
Right.
I remember actually in 2014 maybe, I made one video that did unusually well about Halo, and I was like, okay, I like Halo. I'll make a couple more. And they did well, and before I knew it, I accidentally became a Halo YouTuber. But it helps because I have a lot of opinions about Halo, and Halo is such a big series that there's like an endless amount of topics to talk about. Oh man. Yeah, I'm watching you scrolling through some of my old stuff, and it's like, holy moly.
Yeah, it's really
half a decade ago.
It's really cool to scroll back through all your old videos and see like, holy cow, I've either come a long way from here, or holy cow, it's been a long time I've been doing YouTube. At least it feels that way when we look at our channel, because ours is just daily uploads. So
well, yeah, especially when you look back and you hear little things like imperfections in your audio quality or words that you would use that you wouldn't use in yeah, that has implications that I did not mean. Basically, I've become more constructive in how I talk about Halo.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
This was a video I just watched recently of yours where you were talking about why people don't like the Halo 4, Halo 5 art style.
Oh man,
that's actually one of my favorite videos.
The one that's over 1 million views.
No, it's half a million, right? Yeah, 550,000.
One of them has 1 million views, and I think that's probably the worst one that I've done because it's just like deconstructive. It makes no sense. Like some of my analogies aren't great.
I just saw some interesting words in the comments you were showing.
Yeah, but it is cool that like those videos did have an impact. Like, if only me from that year saw the Halo Infinite reveal trailer.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been everything my little self would have wanted and more.
There you go. Yeah, I was watching it, and I liked your discussion on the Covenant changes and how strange they went with that art style.
Yeah, the designs are one thing, but it's also like artistically, they've kind of regressed in terms of readability. Like if you look at an Elite and then the new Jackal design and have them at a distance and have them having like a carbine or a storm, they just look like the same alien.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was
Same
playing
gun.
Halo 5 today, and I was having a hard time in Warzone just differentiating them.
Yeah, the plasma rifle is such a unique silhouette because it doesn't look anything like the carbine. So I'd be very interested to hear why they were like, let's just have two guns that look exactly the same and do different things.
Right.
Storm rifle and carbine.
I definitely have to agree though, because you're talking about the Spartan armors, right? In this one, so this is your talk on how they went from the Halo 3 Spartan armor to the Halo 4 and 5 Spartan armors.
You've got the Spartan armor video. Yeah, that one actually did pretty well. I know that people at 343 have seen it, and I've actually had conversations with artists about the videos whenever I visit the studio.
That's awesome. How many times have you gotten to go out there?
So many times that it started to become like kind of like an annual pilgrimage. It was just like a thing that I did. Like I know most of the regulars there, like Grim Brother 1, Sparth. He's usually hanging out. One of the writers was there, Kenneth Peters, and he's pretty fun whenever I can get him aside and we start talking about like a little nitty gritty stuff about the Halo series. It's interesting to poke his brain.
I bet. Yeah, it would be really cool to get a conversation with 343 going. That is pretty awesome that you're able to do that.
Yeah, it's fun to hear all the like trivia about like the development of the game. Like Grim, last time I was there, he told me that the Prophet's Bane energy sword, they originally wanted to give it like kind of like at the hilt where the blade comes out, like a weird ooze. Almost like the blade wasn't perfect because it was so old. So as Arbiter would be walking around with it, it would be like leaking plasma.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd see like this hot yellow plasma as Arbiter's like walking. But, you know, it's one of those like details where, you know, when you're trying to optimize the game for visual performance and stuff, cut out all the little decals that you can, like thousands of little blood splatters on the ground. Those are going to add up and start to tax the game engine.
Right. Yeah. I can't imagine taking over a series like Halo after 3 came out, like 343's had to do. That is like a crazy hill to climb, you know, with the amount of love.
Especially jumping right into a main, like the main storyline instead of going like a spin-off or something.
Right.
Yeah, especially like a storyline that was basically conclusively wrapped up.
Right.
Like, regardless of, you know, if Halo 3 was a perfect narrative conclusion to the Halo trilogy, it was like, the prophets are dead.
It was.
Yes, the answer is yes, it was. The prophets are dead, the flood's gone, the rings are no longer a threat. Like, where do you go from there?
You know, honestly, they could have done the Didact. Like, if they would have done it just a little different, I think the Didact could have been a really great, trilogy villain.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because I don't know if you guys saw the E3 build for Halo 4 leaked. The version of the game that they had constructed for E3. And with that came a lot of unfinished cutscenes from the game's development. And one of them was an unfinished early version of the Didact.
Oh, really?
Cutscene. And the dialogue's very different. The whole presentation is super different. There's like an elite that wakes him up. There's an elite that does it, and, you know, the elite is called the Black Elite in the game's subtitles, so this would have been like a little side character. I think he was repurposed as Julim Dama later on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But, yeah, you had the Didact, like, looking around all confused. He's like, well, how long has it been? And then you got this little elite, like, we serve you, great Forerunner. You know, it's, you are saying Healy. I remember your species. Yeah, it's an interesting cutscene. It's definitely still about as weird, but it's, I think, a little bit more Halo-y, because having the Didact wake up and he looks like a cat and he looks kind of unintentionally funny, and then he's just like, the librarian left little to chance, didn't she? It's like, what are you saying? I didn't read these books.
Yes.
Oh, feel the same
he's
way.
like, okay, Grandpa, okay. Like, he's just rambling like a crazy person.
Well, not to mention his dialect is something that's understandable. You know, it's kind of crazy to think that somebody as old as he would be would have the same dialect as the Sangheili, that they could understand him.
Or humans.
That's that like little thing that none of us talk about when it comes to aliens communicating with each other in the Halo universe. I think Bungie commented on it once, and they said Cortana's translating alien dialogue into something that you can understand, and then just they didn't like. What about
just wave their hands on it?
What about like when you can hear them speaking their own language in combat? Never mind. Yeah,
that's fair.
It's like got it.
So jumping into the next question, what content do you enjoy making the most on YouTube?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a hard one because I go through phases where I become very fixated or fascinated by something, and then I like to like pick it apart or try to get a lot of my opinions out in the best way that I can, which is why I don't stream a lot. And most of my videos are very structured and scripted, and I have a lot of editing because I don't want to just have like boring gameplay and I'm just like talking and I've got like my little like camera in the bottom of the corner.
Yeah, sometimes it can be really hard to think about what to say when you're live streaming. I learned this when I tried live streaming Halo 3 a while back. I was just like, I have no idea what to say. I'm just going to react to what's on screen.
Yeah, basically.
And of course, right after I put that up there, you saw that even Marty O'Donnell was getting claimed on the music. Like within minutes of my live stream concluding, I got tagged by some African company saying that they owned the music. And I was like, no, you don't.
Have you been refuting it?
I did, but this is a company that literally will wait the 30 days and just let it go. So like they'll claim block all of your revenue for 30 days if you dispute it.
Yeah.
Not that we have any, but
doesn't affect us at all. But,
but I still, it's the principle of the thing. I can't let them go, without being disputed.
I know 343 has been pretty like irritated with the amount of like these like nonsense companies that are just there to kind of disrupt everything regardless of if they have the rights to the music or not.
I mean,
Frank O'Connor's been pretty proactive with helping some of the YouTubers out.
Hey, I gotta show you something about Frank O'Connor's Twitter. I was so happy to see this. All right, give me a second.
His Twitter is great. His Twitter's so funny.
No,
really
there's something really amazing right in his bio. Let me find it. See if I spelled it right. I probably didn't spell it right, did I? How do you spell it? Is it O-R?
Try Frank O'Connor and then have Halo. Just add Halo.
Oh, okay.
And then...
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a good question. Why is Cortana naked?
Yeah, I read the response, and like it was a lot of kind of like this really complicated and contrived justification where I'm just sitting here and I'm like, she was made in the early 2000s, man. A bunch of guys in a garage thought a naked blue lady was cool. Like, it's okay. You can just say that. She was a product of its time.
I thought it was fine until Halo 4. Halo 4 makes me feel a little uncomfortable looking at her.
Yeah. Halo 4 is kind of in that weird situation where nothing's really changed. Just the graphical fidelity has gotten so good that it's like becoming a bit distracting that she's actually a naked blue lady.
Yeah, you actually are processing that. That's what you're looking at.
I can't seem to find him.
It's not like a string of triangles that's been assembled to vaguely look like a person.
I know that I'm following him on Twitter. Hold on, I'll just log in. Screw it. Oh wait.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just like the ways that Halo is aging with the times or not aging. I don't know, but Bungie left 343 with a very interesting series.
Right. Oh, you know what? Since I'm following him, I'll just be able to go to the search bar and find him. Hopefully.
Okay.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah. So look at this. First thing, Krill enthusiast. I am so going to use that because our podcast is called the CHRILLCAST. All right. If he ever comes on here, that's my first question. So when did you become an enthusiast about our podcast?
That's pretty good. I like Haggis Degenerate.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So you're seeing this
Franco
first
Connor's
here,
funny.
right? Seen this first here. He's a fan of our podcast, Krill Enthusiast. He just forgot to put cast on the end of it, and he spelled it with a K. But whatever, it works. I saw that, I was like, this is amazing. But anyways, yeah.
Oh,
There's
we're still. I remember this actually in this video, the clip playing. I'm talking about the way the Spartans glow in the dark in Halo 5.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that the shadows are definitely not impacting the armor at all. The shading.
Yeah, it's, and I do think it was a deliberate choice to kind of increase player visibility, because in the Halo 5 beta,
it was much darker.
In the Halo 5 beta, it was much darker, but also your Spartan was affected by shadows and casted their own shadows. So if you look at your gun, you can see the shadow of your Spartan on your gun. Not in Halo 5. They disabled that, and I don't know why, because that was a cool graphical effect. It's in Halo 4, but not in Halo 5. In Halo 4, you can see Chief's helmet on the gun.
A lot of interesting design choices they made between 4 and 5 that definitely differentiated it from 3, 2, and 1. Like, I was just playing number 1 on the MCC, and I was like, holy cow, I forgot that the Spartans that Master Chief looked like this before. You know, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they all look so different.
They do.
And it's kind of cool because I'm currently playing through Combat Evolved level by level using an Xbox restoration mod for Combat Evolved on the PC to restore a lot of those lost visuals and audio things. And also doing a lot of research about the production of it. So during production, they got let me find his name. So they got this guy basically to come in. He's an artist named Shi Kai Wang, and they were like, "We've got all these designs. We think they're really cool, but can you like make them look presentable?" And so he came in and basically started to like fiddle with a lot of these rough sketches, and he's the guy who came up with the final design for the Marines and stuff like that. So
so he's the one to blame.
I believe, he's the one to blame. I believe he's still at Bungie. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But he's responsible for a lot of the iconic Halo designs, or at least responsible for refining them into something that looks pretty cool. Like the Master Chief, I believe he was kind of like.
Which one's that? Is that one of the Marines from 5?
No, not the Marines from 5. Combat Evolved.
Oh no! I'm saying what's on the screen right now. What am I looking at?
That's an armor from Halo 5.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
I forgot the name of the one, the kind of goofy one where you've got like a gigantic. It almost looks like braces.
That is.
Like
you
you've got
act
a big
as if there's
retainer.
only one goofy one.
Yeah.
That's
There's
nuts.
like 500 armors.
Sorry, I didn't mean to break the chain of thought, but yeah, that's a really interesting backstory on Combat Evolved's armor and whatnot. I didn't realize there was that much going into that, other than somebody coming in.
Was that guy in the Vidocs?
Is that in the Vidocs?
Yeah, that particular artist, is he in the Vidocs?
He's not in any of the Vidocs.
Okay.
I couldn't find like a social media, so I don't even know if he's on Twitter or anything. But there's a lot of just like interesting stuff. Like something I didn't realize until recently was that iconic shield recharge sound effect. That's a stock sound effect that came with a CD of like a, hey, here's a bunch of like generic sound effects if you're getting to work on a new video game. And and what's even more interesting, it's called low frequency something. The name of I think low frequency modulation. That's just the name of the stock sound effect.
That's literally describing the effect they've placed on whatever sound is going on, because that's literally some effects I have in some of my music software.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's cool as well, because that stock sound effect is it transitions into the plasma pistol hum when you've got it humming. So it would eventually raise so high that it becomes the plas. Yeah, and Bungie cut it in half. And
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Effects.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's totally true though. I didn't ever recognize that until you said that. I really didn't notice.
Yeah, I'm currently hunting down the disc that has all those like stock sound effects, like the sound of the sniper rifle reloading, that little like chink when you stick the clip back in. That's stock sound effect. The shotgun firing. I'm hunting down that CD full of stock sound effects because I want to get those files.
There you go. So Will, why don't you ask the next question? Since I've got his Infinite video playing.
Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to the most with Halo Infinite?
Oh man, I have to say the art, the music I'm really interested in, but I think most importantly, I'm interested to see what lessons they took away from Halo 5, because obviously that game has been kind of dragged through the streets by its entrails. What's the quote from Halo 2? Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what lessons were learned and about what 343 kind of thinks a modern Halo could be. Because Halo 5 was their attempt to be like, all right, guys, this is how Halo is now. And there was basically a loud, audible no.
Like the Michael Scott quote. No! No! Oh, God, no!
But there's also been like a lot of discourse about like the people who like the enhanced mobility, but also, well-founded discussions about like the kind of regression of the sandbox to make room for the enhanced mobility.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what 343 takes away and how they can make a modern shooter that still kind of retains a bit of Halo DNA.
Couch co-op would go a long way.
Yeah, thankfully, split screen co-op they said was going to be a thing.
Yes,
which is exciting.
I think that might be the thing I'm most upset about because I always play with my brother and I wasn't able to do it, and yeah,
that's frustrating.
Yeah, Halo 5 being the first Halo game without couch co-op. That's like Mario Kart without split screen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's just kind of the
thing that also bothered me was the squad mechanics. Those got to go.
Yeah, squad.
Yes.
The squad mechanics I get, and they do work in squad shooters, but Halo is very much a game where you've got this level, you've got these enemies, and you've got a sandbox of toys and gadgets that are all firing off on all cylinders, and the only one who really is proactive, I guess, and able to make worthwhile engagements with that sandbox is the player. So when you've got the player and then 3 other players glued to your hip and following you around, it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the combat rhythm, and then the game just stops dead in its tracks whenever you go down. You gotta wait for your buddies, and then you think about the ripple effect that it would have on how you design encounters. In Halo 5, there's a reason there's just so many enemies. It's like a shooting gallery. There isn't that Covenant dance of flipping between guns to take down elite shields, pop them in the head, the front scat. It's just so many things to shoot at because there's effectively 4 players at any given time.
I feel like that game was designed to be played online with 4 actual players as opposed to the AI.
It's like a Spartan Ops. There was a GDC post-mortem of Halo 4 after all was said and done, and 343 had time to kind of reflect on Halo 4's strengths and its failures. And one of the things that they brought up that I thought was interesting was they said Halo 4 Spartan Ops they designed with play tests involving 4 players, and they were surprised to see the data showed a majority of players actually played it solo, but then gave feedback that like, why are there so many enemies? And it's interesting that they recognized that problem but then repeated it in Halo 5. It's entirely possible that when they realized the issue, it was like the game was already kind of cooking in the oven, and it was a little bit too late to reverse gears.
They really should just pick up like a scalable system. Like if there's 4 people playing, scale up the enemies. If there's not 4 people playing, scale them down.
Yeah, but I get also it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Well, yeah,
with
It's
the
not
nature
like
of Halo,
like spawning zombies. You can just spawn a bajillion zombies, but not with Halo. You can't do that. Unless it's, even the flood in the library, you probably couldn't do it that way either.
Yeah, basically. And then there was an interesting talk that kind of, again, I feel like they thought probably that they had made progress on fixing, but they kind of sidestepped, in my opinion. Like, instead of doing a step forward, they just took a step to the left, so they're still in the same place. They haven't gone anywhere. They just have a different approach to the issue that still stays problematic. They said that the Prometheans, the issue was going into them of just like, we've got this really cool design, we've got all these really cool designs, and then had to kind of figure out how to get them to work within a combat loop, where what they really should have done was figure out a combat loop first and then build enemies around them. And they realized basically too late that the Knight was just too perfect as a unit. It did everything it needed to do to stay alive. So you've got the crawlers that are just kind of like running around, like, you know, it's like a little cat just kind of following the big guy who knows all stuff.
Yeah. Dude, I hate the Knights. They were so frustrating.
Yeah, the Knights worked really well when they were paired with like Covenant, when you've got like grunts and jackals, because the Knight was essentially a robot elite in its function. But then in Halo 5, you've kind of got the same problem, only now it's with the Promethean soldier, where the Promethean soldier is just like, man, and we'll put a bunch of them in the level, and they are just fine, and they do everything fine, and there's nothing really special about them.
And then they can warp, and you can't shoot them while they're warping, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, which that's essentially the elites doing their little dodge and bob, only it looks visually noisy and annoying.
Yes.
So what are you most nervous about with Infinite? What is the single most worrying factor going into the sixth installment?
Probably that actually is the combat loop. The multiplayer, I've accepted that I'm not going to have like a classic Halo experience or a new classic Halo experience. I understand that's not what a majority of gamers are playing. I'm more interested now to see how 343 tries to make a modern shooter with classic DNA. But for the campaign, I'm very nervous about how they're going to design the sandbox, the encounters and stuff, because I think after Halo 5, there's a lot to prove there. Because I don't think Halo 5 is a very fun campaign Halo game. Obviously, people talk about the story a lot, but I think there wasn't a lot of talk about just the individual encounters and just kind of how boring it was. There was just a lot of guys on the other side of a big room shooting at you with ranged weapons, and then you taking your ranged weapon and aiming down the sights and shooting at them.
There's no moment when like a frigate flies in and drops off a tank for you.
That's true. I didn't even think about that missing.
Yeah.
The Prometheans don't have their own freighter. They drop in like a prop in Forge mode. They're just like, boop, and now they're there.
Yeah.
Like there's this interesting interview that I read from like 2009 maybe or 2008. It's during the Bungie years of Halo, where they said that their approach to designing encounters is you always want to feel as if you're interrupting something the enemy was doing that was important. Or like you understand completely why the enemy is there. That's why Bungie always made a point to always have dropships coming in from a distance so you could see them and prepare. It always felt very organic, you know, or and Halo 5 did the Covenant pretty well in some levels where you feel like you're getting the drop on them. They have idle dialogue and custom animations, like they'll be playing with things and then you get the drop on them and they start freaking out and shooting at you.
Right.
Yeah, but instead of just like waiting for you to be there.
Yeah, I think of I've been playing a lot of Doom 3 because like Doom is the big thing right now, and Doom 3 is a game where it is transparently a video game with levels where level designers placed enemies. Like you're not fooling anybody. I'm not on Mars. There isn't a hell invasion. This is a video game, and you just spawned an enemy in that closet. And now the enemy is like, surprise! I've been in this closet.
I've been waiting here 1,000 years for you.
Yeah, it's very transparent. And that's like the worst thing in Halo 5 is when it's like, you see that like particle effect, which means Prometheans are coming, and you're like, oh my god, this could have been so much cooler.
It's like a legit element missing from at least from 4 and 5 that I noticed right away. You're right. You get that feeling from the sound of the ship flying over you. It's just so impressive, and like kind of like how the
pew pew
if
of
you've
a
ever
gun
watched-
shooting at you.
Yeah.
Easily.
if you've ever watched the Red Letter Media Star Wars thing where you have that imposing ship flying in, he's talking about how that just immediately translated to the audience what was going on. You get that same feeling when the Covenant freighter flies right over you. It's like, wow, that's coming right up at me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it 343 seems very maybe it's for technical reasons because I know the Kraken suffered a lot of like not
The
setbacks,
Kraken.
but the Kraken was, they had grander plans for it that they could not exactly execute on, unfortunately, because of restrictions and limitations due to deadlines and tech and all this stuff. But the dropships as well, they seem very anxious about the player just being able to blow them up. So they don't feel very organic in the environment. Like I think of Halo 3, how it's very easy to blow up dropships when they're coming in. And in fact, the game seems to celebrate that with like a crazy over the top looking explosion.
And the Marines will cheer you on.
Yeah. And then
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
In Halo 4 and 5, the game doesn't seem to want you to be messing with their dropships.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Halo 5, if you actually blow up the dropships, you can kind of see why, because the explosion effect isn't that impressive. So it's entirely possible that they didn't want you to look at that. Yeah, it's like a puff of purple smoke and a couple of chunks.
Yep.
All right, well, you got the next question. I'm really interested to hear this one.
Yeah. All right. So, what is your favorite and your least favorite mainline Halo FPS game?
Oh man. It depends on the day.
I'm the same way, honestly.
Subjectively, my favorite of the Halo FPS games is Halo 3, but I'd say objectively probably Combat Evolved.
Okay.
And then I think it's the most mechanically sound of the ones. It's like the most focused, basically. It has no room for like, this didn't work out too well. Well, I say that the library exists. Man, my least favorite is probably Reach. Or Halo 2, weirdly enough.
You have a similar thought process to me on the game. Halo 3 is my favorite, 100%, but Combat Evolved, you're right. There's something about it being so basic, like just everything's built for one thing, and that's moving forward and firing on the Covenant, essentially progressing the story. It's just kind of a perfectly driven cooperative campaign. And then the multiplayer...
Cooperative works really well.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Even though there's 4 Master Chiefs, which breaks the canon lore or whatever, but... But overall, I thought it was like the most focused gameplay, especially in the campaign.
It's a lot, not to reference Star Wars again, but it's also why, even though I think Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie, I'll always say that A New Hope is the best Star Wars movie, because it's just like, there's no fat, there's no like external stuff, like it did exactly what it wanted to. Let me try that sentence again. It did exactly what it wanted to do.
Okay.
It's like the only movie in the entire series that can stand on its own.
Yeah.
Well, they're both made like thinking there's only going to be one, right? So the original Halo, they only thought there would be one. And then the original Star Wars, they only thought there'd be one.
I don't know how you make a game like Halo and think, this isn't going to be a monumental success. I mean...
Bungie didn't really even know what Halo was going to be until the final year. It was an RTS game for a very long time. Then it was changed into a third-person shooter because they had a mechanic in their RTS Halo where you could like attach the camera to a unit and follow them from a third-person perspective. And they realized, hey, this is kind of cool looking. Maybe we should make it an open-world third-person shooter with destructible environment and terrain that can be deformed. And then Microsoft came in and was like, how about you guys make this a shooter? And they're like, we have 11 months. I think it was within that final year when the switch was made to first person. And yeah, it got to the point where they were outsourcing parts of the script. So like that infamous, this cave is not a natural formation. That wasn't written by the level designers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, of course it's not natural.
Yeah. I mean, the flood, they didn't really know what the flood were going to be for the longest time. Originally, they were pitching the idea that maybe it was a biological trip mine. Like the Covenant had a bioweapon that they'd leave behind on worlds, like xenomorph eggs. And the idea is if humanity would come back to planets that were glassed, there would be all these, like, flood everywhere. So, like, it would make worlds
awesome,
uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were like, or primordial zombie plague.
See, but I love the primordial zombie plague. I also love how Gravemind in Halo 2 says, hey, we have a common enemy here. You sang Healy, if they actually go through with this ring going off, you're all dead. Like, not just us. We'll die off too, but you're dead too.
I do love the floppy flower.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that thing wasn't supposed to look like a flower.
Yeah. The thing is, I had no idea what that was as a kid. It wasn't until Halo 3 that I actually knew what that was. I was so confused.
Yeah, you read in the manual and you look and you see it's like this giant tower of flesh, and you're like, oh, it wasn't a giant fly trap?
Yeah, it looks like a Venus flytrap, honestly, you're right.
Well, it didn't help that glowing effect that the Flood gave off in Combat Evolved in Halo 2 was kind of like funky in Halo 2, so it just made him look green.
So, I mean, given all that, which Halo game is your favorite multiplayer, your favorite vehicle, and your favorite weapon? You can name each separately. They don't have to be all the same game.
Yeah.
Favorite multiplayer is Halo 3. Netcode issues aside, that game has problems with the way its netcode was designed, but I view it as kind of like the Smash Brothers Brawl of Halo games, where it's not the most competitive, but it's the most accessible.
Okay.
And because of that, I think it makes for a lot of fun party games and just like a casual, fun, chill atmosphere when you're playing with friends and stuff. I think a lot of like Halo's best custom games came from Halo 3.
Oh, no doubt.
I think of like Fat Kid and stuff.
Like Griffball.
Yeah. And I guess vehicle would... I mean, the generic answer is the Warthog. But I don't think people give enough credit to how genius that vehicle is. Like, you've got the driver, you've got the gunner seat, and then you've got a passenger, and the design... So you've got one... It's a 3-man vehicle where if you want to make a flag run, and there's usually 4 people on a team, it also encourages that other guy to kind of go off and do his own thing and support you guys from a distance. So he'll probably go find a sniper rifle and try to defend you guys from a distance while you're making a flag run. So you got the guy driving, you've got the guy actually doing the killing and suppressing enemies and stuff, and then you've got that guy who's like, ducking his head and running into the enemy base and grabbing the flag and coming back out. It's one of the most clever vehicles in a video game in the way that it subliminally encourages certain styles of cooperative play in the team.
Yeah, between that one and then I thought the Mongoose was also well designed for like the rockets, putting rockets on the back.
Oh, the gun goose?
Yeah.
The gun goose.
Yeah.
Well, the mongoose in Halo 3's campaign, people don't give the Marines enough credit, man. Like, Marines are pretty great, especially when you give them a rocket launcher and you find a mongoose, and then you've got like the fastest vehicle in the game and an auto turret that has unlimited rockets on the back.
Right.
This is a Marine.
Yeah. So, what about your favorite weapon?
Oh, favorite weapon. So, I guess, are we talking about in terms of like the aesthetic feel of just like firing the gun and how it feels to use, or are we talking about its like function?
You could pick one of each for all I care.
Favorite weapon, just in terms of like how it feels, is probably the Combat Evolved Anniversary Assault Rifle. I think the sound for it is masterful. I think it is perfect. Even though the model, because it's the Halo 3 model that they used in the anniversary graphics, so it's ever so slightly wonky looking in like the Combat Evolved animation rig. Like, you'll notice the way he pulls the bolt looks kind of weird because it's positioned differently on the Halo 3 assault rifle. I don't know about like just weapons that are purely like mechanical, because like they all have their own purpose in the sandbox.
Mhm.
Maybe the Halo Combat Evolved pistol, or the Halo 2. Nah, not the Halo 2 battle rifle. I'd say the pistol. Have you guys ever heard like the concept of like a keystone weapon or a utility weapon in a video game?
When you say that, you mean like the knife in like Call of Duty Zombies, where it's like literally just built for slicing zombies up? Or are you talking like
It's the utility weapon, or I guess as I learned recently, some developers refer to it as a keystone weapon. The idea is you've got the player,
Yep.
and then you've got the one gun that kind of benefits the player and is almost like an extension of them. Like the Magnum is just kind of really good.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
And then the sandbox is built around everything else. So you've got the Magnum, which is your keystone weapon, the extension of the player, able to make them lethal. And then you've got your secondary weapon, which is like an interesting gimmicky weapon, like the plasma rifle, which can stun lock enemies, or the plasma pistol, which can drain shields in one charge, or the sniper. So I guess probably the Magnum. I think it promotes the most interesting sandbox innovations, because you've got the good gun, and then everything else needs to be interesting and fill a certain role within the combat loop.
Like, I always liked the fuel rod cannon. I thought that was a really interesting kind of alien rocket launcher that wasn't quite as powerful.
The fuel rod cannon looks so cool as well.
It does.
All the iterations of it have been so cool. I love seeing the way that thing changes as time goes on. It's like,
it was originally just like a tube, sort of, and now it's actually like bulbous on the end.
Well, because essentially it's like some version of what the hunters carry.
In Combat Evolved, yeah, it kind of looks like a hunter gun. In Halo 2 and Halo 3, so I grew up as a Christian kid, and I was an altar boy, and I was in a Russian Orthodox Christian church. So they don't hold back with like crazy aesthetics, lots of like bronze and gold looking things. The fuel rod gun always looked like a holy artifact that people were carrying around as a bazooka. I always thought that was like the coolest thing. Like in my mind, I always view like the Covenant as like, yeah, that would make sense. They're so religious that they design their guns to almost look like those like candelabras, like those massive like, yeah.
I can see that now.
Weaponizing a cathedral.
Awesome, yeah.
That reminds me of The Expanse, where they literally turned that Mormon religious ship into a battleship.
Yeah, where it's like, they look like their battle armor looks like altar boy vests or something, because it's been repurposed.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I always thought the fuel rod gun has been like one of my personal little favorite weapons
Love the
in
way
Halo.
it looks.
Just 'cause it's like, it looks like a religious thing. Like I could see like that being some part of a religious ceremony, and then at the drop of the hat, they pick it up like a bazooka.
Confirmation's over. Time to die.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, Covenant weapons are cool. I wish they'd design them to look cool again.
Yes.
I take that back. There's some cool designs for the Covenant weapons.
Well, what do you have next? What's your next question?
All right, so basically this question is summarized in what is your plans for your early morning gaming channel?
Early morning gaming channel? Oh man. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Probably. I mean, I've got a lot of free time now because of the quarantine for reasons. Like, I don't know, maybe. I guess it depends on what kind of content I'd want to put there. Would it be unscripted stuff? Do people like hearing that type of stuff?
I noticed you have like 2 videos on there still.
Oh my god, yeah. Early morning gaming.
Wasn't your brother doing some Let's Plays on there?
My brother was he's uploading on his own channel now. Yeah, I've got that channel is just dead in the water right now. I've got to do something with it.
I think I subbed to it. I might be one of the 80. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm definitely subbed to it because I remember when you first launched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
Now you know Will's been watching you at least 4 years.
What? Really?
Well, yeah, it's 4 years ago.
I can't believe it's been that long. I
Dude,
remember when Halo 5 was showed off at E3, the campaign. It seems like so long ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't know this channel existed. Will was the one that pointed it out to me, and I was like, "Oh, is this the same? Is this the same guy?" He's like, "Yeah, it's the same guy." I was like, "What?"
That does not look like me.
No.
I'm watching the gameplay right now. I don't recognize that weapon. Also, it's Destiny 1 footage.
Is this the wrong channel?
At the time, I was probably pretending that I didn't like Destiny.
That's definitely the channel, though, right?
No, that was not the channel.
Oh, it's not? Oh,
No.
well, what's it called then?
I wonder where Early Morning Gaming went.
I
No,
thought
that was the name of the channel. I don't see it, though.
Someone else took it, man.
I wonder if YouTube buries stuff that doesn't, like...
Well, here,
you know?
here's a link to it. Let's see.
My second channel lives.
I remember when that came out. That's so funny.
Sentences.
Oh, here
a
it
day.
is.
Well,
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
here
this
it
looks,
is.
this looks
Okay,
better.
I was like, man, this does not look like your other channel. Here it is. Okay, I was on the wrong channel. I subscribed to that other channel. Whoops.
Yeah, my brother uploaded some Dark Souls videos, and then my brother gave up and made his own channel.
I think I have a comment on a couple of these videos, actually.
Probably under one of his random usernames he had before. He's Will the Thrill 92.
Oh man, I'd like to make some non-Halo videos, but not obviously subject my subscribers to that if they have absolutely no interest.
I will say this: Will has offered on other channels to come on and help with. He's very much into biology and the science of evolutionary biology. He would gladly come on and help with that.
I'm a PhD in ecology and evolution, so it's like I can talk about biology, but I don't know if it would mend well with saying, fictional scientific stuff.
It all depends on the presentation. When you've got some quick-witted people playing a ridiculous video game, if you're playing Mario and trying to discuss the proportions of Mario, and if that is realistic in a human being to have a head that's like bigger than most of the body.
Are you alluding to Mr. Game Theory with that comment?
Oh man, Game Theory. That's a YouTube channel I kind of like dropped off. Not because I thought the videos were bad, but because I just stopped watching them after a while. But then when hearing about some of the nonsense he's been doing lately, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I got out while he was still good.
Oh yeah. Well, the last one I was willing to watch was he did a Persona one, and he obviously did not read any of the lore of Persona at all when he was crafting his theory.
Chris loves Persona, so if you get something wrong, he gets real mad.
I got a little heated, I'm not gonna lie. But then I saw another video of somebody commenting back, and I was like, well, that's just petty. So I just like, no, I'm just gonna avoid this, just leave it alone. I'm unsub from Matt Pat, I'm good.
God, yeah. I've had to do that as well, like get rid of some of those like drama channels, or not drama channels, but like the ones where I watch them and I start to feel worse after watching them. Like, dude, there's so much wrong with the world right now. I just want to be happy.
Right, I need my escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel called Internet Today that I've been following for a while. They used to be, I believe, Inside Gaming. They've been around for a while, and they started a YouTube channel called Internet Today. They now have like over 100,000 subscribers, and they are definitely like the funniest. If there's bad news, I'd rather hear it from them because they have a way to make it really funny.
Yeah,
so that's
comedy really makes everything better. It's like it's the easiest way to deal with stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty great, and Lord knows we need a little bit more comedy.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm worried about what's going to happen with Halo Infinite because of everything that's going on.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully, they don't have to rush it or do some crazy stuff.
They're going to shadow drop it this month.
Well, I think you'd have to kind of like figure out how you're going to rush it before you decide to rush it, because when everybody's working from home, There's this other video that I've been watching where it's basically a actual indie developer who made his own YouTube channel. So when he talks about video game stuff, he knows kind of what he's talking about. And he said something that I had honestly never considered before. He said, when you've got these impressive models or chunks of the game that are like gigabytes in size, like an uncompressed or like, max quality video game model could be like 80 gigabytes before you actually start whittling it down and making it something reasonable. Like just the act of sharing information, while trying to socially distance yourself. Yeah, that's gonna be like tough.
Well, with Microsoft owning OneDrive, I think they can make that work.
I think they can make it work, but it's gonna be very hard.
Especially when you look at, did you see that Sony actually is using back-end Microsoft technology in some of their products? Like, that just says that Microsoft just has this super advanced technology that's working in the background.
Well, it's interesting because Blu-ray, if I remember right, is a Sony invention, and the Xbox One uses Blu-ray.
They did, yes. The 360 did not, but the One did.
Yeah, so we've kind of got this, like, it's weird. They're in competition with each other.
But they use each other's tech.
But they use each other's tech because they're all, like, experts in their respective fields.
Right.
Though I do know Sony has been kind of, like, falling behind while other tech giants are kind of picking up the slack. The last few years have not been kind to their movie division.
Nope. Yeah. Sony's entire product, basically the company rides on PlayStation at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely PlayStation as well as like some of their like audio.
Yeah, that's true.
But even the audio isn't like a market leader.
No. They have a lot of camera lenses too. A lot of high-end phones use the Sony cameras. I think even the iPhone uses the Sony lenses.
Yeah, it's you know that those cameras use Sony lenses because if you go watch like a Sony movie, everybody is using Sony tech to the point that it's distracting. And you're just like, no, nobody would. It like actively pulls you out of the movie when Spider-Man pulls out a Sony phone. It's like, no, Peter Parker would have an iPhone.
Right.
He's a poor kid living in the Bronx. No, he'd have an iPhone.
Like a 3-generation back iPhone.
yeah, or he's got his like Sony laptop so he can read. Oh man, the Amazing Spider-Man series. I don't know if you guys remember those movies.
Yep.
Sadly, I do. Yes.
Tobey Maguire is the only Spider-Man for me.
Tobey Maguire's a really good Spider-Man. I especially appreciate him more in hindsight because in this world of cinematic universes, I like cinematic universes. They can be fun, but it's no long. It's kind of like when with shows nowadays. I've been watching Star Trek a lot. I finished Deep Space Nine a little while ago, and there are episodes in those old shows where this is the episode where this happened, where nowadays TV is just like this 40-minute long movie cut up into parts.
Yep.
And movies are starting to get like that, like cinematic universe movies. And I'm starting to like go crazy. And now when I look at like those dinky old like early 2000s superhero movies where it's just the movie, I'm like, oh, I appreciate this a lot more now.
Yes.
So
like Spider-Man.
Not to get way off track here. What other Halo-centric YouTube channels do you watch? What are your favorites?
Oh man, my other Halo-centric YouTube channels. I like to watch Covenant Canon. Just because like that's the kind of fun stuff where it's like obviously as a YouTuber I've got to make sure that some of my content is accessible, and I also know that like most people who play Halo don't care too much about the lore. So I'm not going to call the elites Sangheili. I'm going to call them the elites because that's more accessible as a name for them. But when I'm not doing my YouTube thing, I like to like read Halopedia and read about like the lore and stuff. I've read the Forerunner trilogy, and they're really good books, minus maybe the second one. And then Halo Canon, obviously, when it's like, I'm going to watch a 7-minute video on the history of the needles on the needler.
He just finally did a video on the book series. You know, it took him this. He's like, I've been doing Halo lore for this long, and I haven't done a book video.
My God,
it was really good, actually.
It's also a lot of fun to see him kind of. I don't want to say grow up because we're basically the same age, I think. It's fun watching him like master his technique and stuff because Covenant Canon has a very theatrical approach.
Yes, he does.
It's not just like a very scripted video. It's supposed to be an in-universe lore dump for you. So, you know, he's got his characters and stuff and they all have names. And it's fun. It's like a play or something where you're just like excited to see the production value every time he uploads a video.
Did you see our interview with him last week then?
I saw that you interviewed him.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be watching that.
Because he explained that he's actually got 2 helpers on the channel, 2 guys that help him do voices and help him do background lore and stuff. But it was really cool because he actually described it exactly what you just said. He's like, he's working for an in-universe historical perspective from the Sangheili in a lot of his videos. Fun. I love the voice they do in the videos. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's there isn't a lot of like passionate weird stuff like that where most people when they think of a lore channel and they want to start one they'd probably be like, all right, I need to I'm gonna have like the boring like techno music in the background that every YouTube channel has as background music and stuff. I'm gonna play footage of cuts. So it's just fun to see him like doing this very theatrical thing and you can tell he's having fun doing it. Yeah, it's a fun channel. It's fun watching his videos and knowing he probably had a lot of fun making each one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And he even said he commissioned people to do artwork on one of his videos that he really spent a lot of time doing research and background work on, making it fit the universe so he could tell like this backstory to this other character. He's got all these really cool side stories and some of his own original stuff too. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's a fun YouTube channel.
Do you ever watch Installation 00?
Installation 00. The name rings a bell. I probably do watch it, but haven't like actually processed that that's the name of the channel.
I'll show you what it looks like. See if you recognize it. He's the one that was on this week.
I'll find a Halo YouTuber and I'll put like basically all their video. I'll go back 3 months and put all their videos on autoplay, and just while I'm recording footage or something, it'll be one after the other every video. Oh yeah. I do watch this guy.
He does all those most detailed breakdowns. He said those are his.
This is another really good YouTuber.
Spends a lot of time on the technology. We really enjoyed talking. Well, Will wasn't on that call. I forgot.
Nah, yeah, exactly. I got shunted to the side. Got replaced.
Due to the current situation we live in, that I'm not going to describe for
YouTube reasons.
Yes. Will was not able to come on. Will was not able to come on, so I had somebody fill in for him. A guy that's usually on our channel, probably 3, 4, 5 times a year. Fills in for Will usually. I'm not usually gone. It's usually Will that's gone.
Yes.
But yeah, so we got to talk to him for like it had to be like a good 3 hours. He was really cool to talk to.
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, he was really fun to talk to. And do you watch Hidden Xperia then too, or no?
Oh, of course I do. I'm actually friends with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You clearly weren't watching the video. He's in the video that we saw earlier.
Was he? I missed it. Ah, dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hidden Xperia.
I was actually pretending. I knew that you liked Hidden Xperia. You just didn't mention him yet.
Okay.
I wanted it to come naturally.
We're pretty goofy. We usually sync up and spend like 5 hours in a Discord call just being nerdy and talking about like dumb things that we notice that nobody cares about. Like talking about Resident Evil or talking about Prey from 2017 and that kind of genre video game like BioShock. Did you know that there is a name for those BioShock type games? It's the 0451 genre.
What?
Because it's named after an inside joke that is always in those kind of games, where there will always be a keypad and the code to get in is 0451, and it's an insider joke. I forgot the exact way that it started, but yeah, BioShock has 0451, Prey 2017 had 0451, Dishonored has it. I think on like a piece of paper somewhere. Yeah, that if you like that genre of game, like BioShock, look up 0451 games.
Interesting.
No idea.
That's the stuff we spend 5 hours talking about, Xperia and I.
I'm not surprised. I would expect something like that to be the conversation topic between two people that are this into video game series like Halo, you know, just delving into the lore and the background topics of things. I love talking about this stuff too. I just didn't know that, you know. I'm more into like, I'm more, honestly, other than Halo and Mass Effect, I'm like really into Japanese RPGs.
Man, Mass Effect is so good.
It's such a good, and Knights of the Old Republic, but that's like by default because I love Mass Effect. You know, it was KOTOR then Mass Effect for me.
I also really like Mass Effect Andromeda, even though I know that game doesn't want me to like it. I played it on the PC, so I had the graphics maxed out, and man, that Frostbite engine, that engine looks really pretty when the developers want it to look pretty.
Yes, it does. I agree.
Yeah, Andromeda, some of the landscapes in that game, I'm like, man, I wish you were Mass Effect 1 or something. Because you're really pretty.
Oh, man. Well, you got the next question.
All right. So similar question, but what are your favorite non-Halo-centric YouTube channels?
CHRILLCAST!
Yeah, CHRILLCAST, obviously. Internet Today is one of them. Also GDC, the Game Developers Conference. I like, you guys know what the GDC is, right? Yeah, I just like watching all the uploads. I was really bummed that GDC is canceled this year because I was like, damn it. I was looking forward to all the different talks that would come out of it. Yeah, I like really long form podcasty type stuff that I can watch passively while I'm doing another activity.
Hey, we're perfect for you to listen to.
Yeah, you're perfect for me.
Stop plugging it, Chris. You're getting it.
I'm probably going to spend the next week binge watching one by one all of the podcasts while I'm working and stuff like that. I also like finding like long analyses type stuff. Not the videos that are like why The Last Jedi is a cinematic bomb or something like that. The more interesting and obscure stuff where it's like this probably won't get a lot of views, but this is like 7 hours long, so I'll watch it.
You would probably like the breakdowns that our buddy Nerd Talk does on various series. He actually spent 2 hours discussing a 2-hour movie.
That's pretty good.
Like he did it for what was Terminator, the Dark Fates, right? Dark Fate. Say that right?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
He spent 2 hours discussing the plot, and I was like, wow, I don't need to watch the movie now. I've got the better version of the movie listening to him talk about it. Or like he does that for he compared Luke and Rey and was trying to determine which of the characters was better in certain perspectives.
I think I've seen that, and that was actually a really good video. It kind of solidified why I don't think Rey was working for a lot of people.
You think you've seen the Nerd Talk video? That's awesome. I'm gonna have to tell. He doesn't have a lot. Like he's got about as many subs as we do. It's in the hundreds.
Yeah, because I did watch. It was like a month ago, right? 2 months ago,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember watching a pretty good video discussing Rey versus Luke.
Huh. See if his channel looks familiar to you.
Okay, yeah, if you can pull it up.
So here's a video he did, but I'll pull up his channel. So this is his channel right here.
Yes. Yeah. This
That's awesome.
Where I watched the video. Yeah, it was a good video. If he's a friend of yours, tell him that was a very good video he did.
I will. He's gonna watch this video. He's gotten a shout out from you and Halo Canon now.
Yeah. This channel's pretty good.
Cool. Did you hear that, guys? Yeah. Go subscribe to Nerd Talk after you're done subscribing to Late Night Gaming and the CHRILLCAST.
And the CHRILLCAST.
And early morning gaming if you're feeling really up and at 'em with your coffee.
There's a lot of joke subscriptions that I have. I don't know if my subscriptions are public, but there's probably a couple ones where people would be like, "What?" I was discussing with somebody who actually lives near me. It's Dustin, who does Podtacular. He actually lives near me. And it's really funny because we were talking about the word truffle, and that's just like a hilarious word. like no, regardless of like what a truffle is, that's just a really great string of letters.
Yeah, it really is.
To call a mushroom. And then I was like, all right, fine, we're in the dumb territory where we can say dumb things. And I'm like, another really good word is fondue.
Yeah.
Then like discussions about a cat got in there, so we Googled fondue the cat. Just out of curiosity, because we were like, surely somebody, one person on planet Earth names their cat Fondue. And I found a YouTube channel called Fondue the Cat. I am at 6th subscriber.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I've got a bizarre one for you. You remember when the Montauk Monster was found on the shore, and it was in New York? I want to say Montauk, New York. Remember what we're talking about? No? Okay, this was years ago.
I know the monster,
right,
yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
So it was actually like a deformed animal that had... yeah.
The problem is what you're describing has happened a couple of times.
Okay,
so
but this one's literally called the Montauk Monster. So back when that was like in all of the headlines, I found this channel where somebody took it and like rotated it upright, put a animated top hat on top of it, and had it going across the screen like doot doot doot, right, or like back and forth, and he was just going doot 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 doot, just over and over and over again in that exact voice. And I subscribed to that channel. I was like, I'm done. The internet's over today, but this is amazing.
Do you have a video? Do you know what the video is?
Let me see if I can find it. I think it's just literally, I think it got taken down. Probably got copyright struck because somebody else wrote that song or something. But it was called, I think it's called, here, let's see if I can find it. I found it years ago. All right, let's see. It literally had him upright with a top hat. I just can't find the thing.
Something Hidden Xperia and I have been pitching to each other, which we'll probably never do, but we wanted to make a throwback YouTube channel where our rule was we all had to upload exclusively in like 360p, preferably 240p. Yeah. The videos had to like start with that blue background and then the scrolling text of the Microsoft Movie Maker.
I still have a working version of that, by the way.
Does anybody have like the list of those like approved songs that YouTube let you put into videos that you upload? Like Paralyzer by Finger 11.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we were thinking of like uploading like Halo 3 E3 trailer, like, and just have like a camera, like a handheld camera in front of a TV and upload that in 240p, like just a channel dedicated to that.
That'd be great. Yeah.
See that? I'm gonna try one more search and then I'll give up. I don't know if this. Oh, here is this. This is the channel. Look, he put the hat on it. This is a different video. But this is definitely a channel.
That looks like the Montauk Monster with a hat.
See if I can find it. So he's got 31 subs. I would have been one of them back in the day. Let's see. Does he still have the video? Oh, I don't think he does.
No.
That's sad. I loved that video. I was like, just
it's like one of those videos where like the joke is that you're laughing at something you shouldn't be laughing at.
Pretty much. That describes exactly.
Laugh harder.
It was like 3 a.m. when I discovered this video, if that helps.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's this one movie reviewer described that type of comedy perfectly, where he said it's the kind of humor where you laugh twice. First, you laugh at the thing, then you laugh at yourself for being so dumb as to laugh at this thing.
That's exactly it. It's like the Sharknado of YouTube videos.
Oh, man.
All right, so the last question on our list. What other video game series do you enjoy? We obviously know you like Mass Effect.
Yeah, we brought a couple of them up. I even like Sonic the Hedgehog, even though Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't want me to like him.
Hey, I like Sonic Heroes, and everybody trashes that game.
I haven't played that game in a while. Sonic Generations was the games with gold, I think, for April, and I was like, yes, I'm the only person excited about this. I have been playing the Doom games, and I'm starting to become a Doom fan. Slowly, it's getting to me finally. I think Doom Eternal is like really, really good. Mostly because of its combat loop. Obviously, it's not a perfect game, but like those are all like external elements because its core combat loop and sandbox is what's really good.
Dude, did you ever play the original Marathon games by Bungie?
I have tried. My plan was to make a video on the first Marathon game, and I got to like the 7th level when it was like my patience wore out, and I was like, I'm gonna revisit this in a month because my God, this is not as fun Doom. I am gonna revisit it though when I have more patience. But yeah, that was a lot of my takeaway. It was like I see the studio Bungie was going to become in it, like the weird cryptic dialogue, like whenever you load up Marathon, somewhere in the heavens they are waiting, where it's like, ooh, you know, and it makes your hair stand up because you're like, that's so weird and cryptic and mysterious. I like it.
Right.
And that kind of becomes Halo later on.
Basically, yeah. It's like what Halo's beginnings would have been was what Marathon was. That's why I love the what's that terminal achievement in Halo? Is it Halo 3?
Marathon Man?
Yeah. It's literally a reference to the Marathon games. Because there's so many. And
also the movie Marathon Man.
Yeah. But I think it's more
but also
Bungie.
Marathon.
I think Bungie's more alluding to, hey, this is our original game series Marathon. Like there was a ton of terminals. The AI thing was going on. Marathon's really cool. Like the lore of Marathon is really cool.
Yeah, it's also like fun to kind of look at like aspects of Marathon that you can clearly see were like the early version of something that was going to be in Halo. Like one of the Marathon aliens, I forgot the name of it. It's definitely not the standard. Do you pronounce them Four or Poor? The main aliens that you fight.
Ooh, I don't know because there's not a good Marathon lore channel that I've been able to find yet. There was one. There's I found it actually just recently. Oh, I just subscribed to it too. Give me a second. I'll find it. Go, keep talking.
One of the enemy types. It's like probably maybe the second one that you're introduced to or the third. I forgot. But basically, it's the heavy guy. And it just looks like a hunter from Halo, just standing up straight.
Here
and kind of like walking around like a normal person. And it's like, hey, that kind of looks like a hunter. I wonder if they repurposed the design. GhostVirus.
Yes, this is like the best Marathon lore channel I've found so far. He actually followed me on Twitter. That's how I found him because he commented on our. We actually did a video where we talked about Marathon because it's been 15 years since they made it open source.
And everyone commented you didn't know anything.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one that put it on Reddit. That was Mr. Garth Benjamin. Okay. And then so people just started flooding into our video and crapping on it on Reddit. So I just avoided the Reddit post. But that's okay. They're like of all of the clips you could have picked of the Marathon games, you picked the first level with nothing going on to show while you're talking about it. And I was like, yep, that's pretty much
you're
true.
Just walking around, walking into walls, lost a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Marathon kicked me off on an interesting personal experiment that I've been doing now when I replay old games that I haven't played in a while, or games that I've never played but I wanted to try them and they're old, is try to play it in a environment that simulates the original release. So like Fear was the first game where I took advantage of that, where I didn't play it in HD. I played it at like 480p and not in widescreen. I shrunk it down. And it is interesting because I do think I've come to the realization that HD is both a blessing and a curse. For some of those old games, your imagination adds to a lot of the experience. Like when you can see the terrible looking textures for something's face from far away, it kind of ruins the experience. But if it's kind of this blurry, vague promise of a face, then it's like you kind of put your imagination to it. And, you know, it seems a little bit scarier. Like Resident Evil 4, all those Ganados that you fight, those zombie villager people. I remember playing it on a crappy TV. So now that I can play it in HD, I'm like, oh, That's what their face looks like. That's disappointing. I prefer when I couldn't make out their facial features.
You would love this channel by one of our friends then.
Okay.
DW Relive, you ever heard of him?
Relive,
yeah, DW Relive. He does like all these old DOS and like old school NES, SNES games, anything basically 8-bit and below, 16-bit and below. And he plays them and does kind of like an audiobook summary of the games. He goes through and kind of talks about how these games were when they came out, what it was like going back and reliving the game, and then like describes his struggles he's had with it, those kinds of things.
That's fun.
You would probably like his channel a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with like, you know, the old state of Combat Evolved, like kind of before the PC release by Gearbox and then the Anniversary Edition. So I like the archival of those old games. That's interesting. I'm going to check out that channel as well.
So
yeah,
let me see. I think that was last. Oh, I'm sorry, we got off on a tangent with Marathon. So you like BioShock, you like Mass Effect, you like what was the other one we talked about? Brain stopped working about 10 seconds ago.
Working. I like the EA games, even though there's not a lot of good ones lately. No, even I take that back, because EA has weirdly been one of the more promising publishers lately. I really like Jedi Fallen Order.
That was good. Everything I've seen about it looks good.
It was a video game.
Actually, a video game.
Not a masterpiece. No, not the greatest thing ever. It was just like, it reminded me of when you could go into a store and just see like a video game and be like, that'll probably be good. And then it is.
Yep.
It doesn't blow your socks off, but you're really happy you experienced it.
So Will likes a series that most people don't. I wonder if you like it.
Oh, what series is this?
Oh, come on. Seriously?
You can't put me on the spot.
Come on, man. Tolkien would be very ashamed of you right now.
What, Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah, the Mordor series.
People love
people
the
like
Mordor
that
series.
They don't like the they don't like the microtransactions.
Yeah, well, they ripped them out of the second one.
Thankfully. But yeah, a lot of people trash that game for that reason.
Man, Shadow of War was a game I was really looking forward to until the microtransactions thing went down.
Yep.
And then after buying it, I was still like, I think I liked Shadow of Mordor better.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. Even though there's way more to do in Shadow of War, I think I like the first one better.
There's also a very tiny nitpick that it was my favorite part of Shadow of Mordor. It was like, so the orcs, or not orcs, what are they called?
The Uruks, Urukai.
Yeah, Uruks, or were they called orcs? Were they just orcs?
No, Urukai, right? Is that what you said, Urukai?
No, that's the one that's created by Saruman.
Yeah,
Uruks are the bigger ones that are in the game. I think there are some orcs technically too, but yeah.
I'll call them orcs. The orcs that you could like brand and then possess and then just like throw them back into their group of buddies and they're like sleeper agents. Those would like persist in the open world, or the game gave a great illusion that they'd persist. You know, you'd kind of like run across the map and you'd see a couple of them with their blue eyes and you'd be like, oh yeah, I branded you like an hour ago and you're still hanging out. Well, in Shadow of War, and I assume it's for like performance reasons and stuff, you can't do that anymore. The ones that you brand, they despawn once you're out of their zone. And I noticed after an hour of play that I was wasting my time running across the open world because it didn't matter. Anybody I branded would despawn once I was outside.
It took me about 20 hours to realize that they were despawning.
I recognized that very early on in gameplay, and that's when the game instantly it lost me immediately after that because I was like, damn it.
Is there any other series you wanted to highlight that you like?
Series that I like, I don't know. Most series that come out, chances are I played them. Battlefield, Call of Duty. I play the Call of Duty games, even though not a lot of them are really good.
Not anymore.
And even the new Modern Warfare, I feel kind of like, man, the game was really fun until people realized how to play it, and now it's it's got that Halo 5 problem where it gives the players so many options for their gameplay that the good players get better and makes it impossible for the new players to get in because the good players are just too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's all good.
Really simple shooter.
So before we can keep talking after this, but before we've finished this interview podcast, is there anything else that you would like to bring up? Anything that's come to your mind that you'd like to talk about before we conclude this?
We could probably discuss, like, obviously without saying why, the prospect of Halo Infinite possibly. Obviously, it hasn't been confirmed, but expectations considering everything that's going on. And Halo Infinite will be delayed. Will it not be delayed? Will the game launch with issues that were probably caused by people working from home and, natural miscommunication?
I think it's all but confirmed unless if they don't move the Xbox Series X launch date, which so far they have not actually conclusively said they're going to do that. Unless they move the Xbox Series X launch, I don't think they'll move Halo Infinite. I think they'll just release it in whatever state it's in and then improve it. Maybe they'll release it without multiplayer and then add the multiplayer. I don't know.
Because my hope for Halo Infinite is that it'll kind of not repeat the mistakes of Halo 5 where it launched as like a shell.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 2 years or a year eventually became the game that was promised at launch.
I think there's just too much hype, though. They have to launch it with the Xbox Series X. If one is delayed, then you have to delay the other.
Well, it's really interesting, and I don't think this was intentional, but like the lack of marketing to build up hype within the community and excitement. I think like before we were kind of like that. All right, guys, you have to show. This is the year things start to happen. People are going to go crazy if you don't show us some gameplay or anything.
And they still haven't.
And they're like, all right, get ready for E3. That's when the marketing train's going to start. God. And now, unintentionally, the whole world situation has put Halo Infinite at a disadvantage.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, we have, like, panic mode. How are we going to start marketing this game?
I wouldn't even, honestly, even with everything in the state that it's in right now, I would be entirely okay if they delayed all of the next-gen systems by a year.
Yeah.
I would be totally... Like, if they launched the PS5 and the Xbox Series X in 2021 instead of 2020, I'm totally fine with that.
Or spring of 2021.
You don't want to compete with the Switch on its anniversary every year. Trust me. You don't want to, okay? You got to launch in November like every other year. Sony and Microsoft is essentially always released in November.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Halo Infinite is now in a very dangerous situation where their tactical lack of marketing could backfire.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I don't quite know what the solution is, because like a live stream isn't gonna do it like a live performance. I think of like those handheld videos of crowds reacting to video games live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I've already mentioned this to you, but I'm not 100% positive. I'm trying to get 343 to work with us and all the other kind of bigger names. We're not bigger names, obviously, but all the other big names in the Halo community to have like a podcast launch party discussing Halo Infinite. That's my goal.
That could work, because I know, 343, obviously, they're not like a logo. It's a building full of hundreds of people who have their own individual tastes. And I'd imagine individuals within there would probably enjoy to come on and talk about what they can talk about.
Yeah, because my idea would be like you, like Hidden Xperia, Halo Canon, have a whole bunch of the bigger Halo names on YouTube, all on the podcast. And we'd have like a prompt, and everybody would respond to the prompt with their own thoughts. And then, the 343 guys could respond with their prompts, like whatever, however they want to respond to like whatever they're allowed to say. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like it would just be this giant celebration of Halo right before the launch with everybody involved. Yeah,
you probably could get in touch with a couple of developers. I'd imagine that they probably have their own approach for marketing.
This wouldn't be necessary. It's like more of a show than a marketing thing.
Yeah, casual get together to talk about.
Exactly. It's not meant to replace marketing traditionally. Just like
it's kind of like when you're able to get like a 343 employee and just hang out with them.
Exactly.
On a Yeah, you could probably reach out. I know some people would probably love to do that. I mean, I talked to some of the developers, so I can see what I can do if some of them would want to just hang out on a podcast and talk about Halo.
Yeah, because I imagine if we get everybody, because I had originally talked to Halo Canon and he mentioned a whole bunch of people we need to have on there, and it ended up being a list of like 20 people. So it might end up being like a rotational thing where somebody comes on and talks and then in a row kind of a thing. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Those discussions whenever us YouTubers go to 343 and we're in the Halo Museum and all the developers are there and they're just like saying fun little bits of trivia like the Prophet's Bane. You know, the original idea for its visuals that were cut. Like just fun little stuff like that where it's like, I didn't even know that.
Hey, that would be Will's dream to get invited to the 343 studio and see something like that. Like Will would literally... That would be it. He'd be like, okay, I've seen it. This is it. This is everything.
So PAX West usually happens every year. You know, the big gaming convention. And I usually use it as an excuse to just go to 343 because they're in Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the convention is held. So it's like, yeah, like whatever. I'll play like a demo at your booth or whatever. And then I just leave and I go to 343 and I hang out in the Halo Museum.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
I mean,
PAX West, if you're ever looking to do something, I mean, once the craziness has settled down,
right? Like Seattle's a no-go zone
right now.
PAX
West. Yeah, Seattle's unfortunately.
I wouldn't want to go there right now.
It's like, have you ever played the level Cortana in Halo 3? It's probably like that. You're landing in Seattle for PAX West, and you dropped in on like a pelican.
Oh man!
You know, shake some of the goo off your boot.
Yeah. That's great. Oh man.
Well, I think that's a good thing to end this podcast.
Yes.
We just want to thank you for coming on, having this discussion with us. It's been really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad we were able to coordinate this eventually. It was.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we were able to do this. So.
Me too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say before you come off?
Wash your hands, socially distance.
There you go. You heard it first here from the doctor, from Dr. Late Night. As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will. And this is the quiet part. You're supposed to say late night.
Oh, hi. Bye. I mean, bye. I'm late night. Hi, bye.
And we will see you.
The next CHRILLCAST.
Did I mention it's 11 o'clock at night here?
It's late night.